What if I told you that the reason that you have to study for hours before every exam is because your notes are simply useless? And it's not because you didn't take enough notes or because you missed something the professor said. It's because of the way that you take your notes. You only capture information and not in a way to help you actually remember it. If you are like most students, you write down what the teacher says, you close your notebook, and then weeks later you open it up again trying to relearn everything from scratch. And that's not exactly a note-taking system. You're just copy pasting everything. In this video, I'm going to show you a note-taking system that blends studying directly into the process of taking notes so that by the time that exam week comes around, you've already done most of the work. You don't need to cram everything or even reread everything. You've already learned everything. I'll walk you through the complete framework step by step, show you how to implement active recall and spaced repetition into your notes right from day one, break down when to use digital versus paper and which apps work best, and give you real examples of what this looks like in practice. So let's get into it. Before I show you these systems, you need to understand why the way most people take notes does not help them with learning. Because once you understand the problem, then the solution makes more sense. Most students take notes in one of two ways. Either they write everything down word for word, which makes you like a computer or AI that is basically transcribing a lecture, or they write down almost nothing and plan to revise later, which actually we all know never happens. So both of these fail for the same reason. They are passive. In 1972, Craig and Lockhart published a landmark paper that's called Levels of Processing. Their framework is one of the most influential ideas in memory research. And the core idea of it is how deeply you process information determines how well you remember it later on. So when you process information on the surface level by copying words from a slide, your memory of the information is weak. But when you process information on a deep level, putting a concept in your own words or connecting it to something that you already know helps create longer lasting memories. And this is why noting down the words from your professor word to word feels productive, but does not actually work at surface level. You're processing information at the shallowest possible level, and your hand is moving, but your brain isn't really engaging with the material. Again, you're just copy pasting. And here's the second problem. Even if you take great notes, most students only interact with those notes once, and that's when they write them. They don't look at them again until the night before an exam. And by that point, you've forgotten almost everything. And you're essentially learning everything from scratch from some scribbling on a piece of paper. Rudiger and Karpik at Washington University demonstrated this clearly in 2006. They had students either restudy material or take practice tests on it. And when tested 5 minutes later, the restudy group did better. But when they were tested 2 days or 1 week later, which is what actually matters for exams, the group that practiced recalling the information dramatically outperformed the group that just reread. The problem is not that you don't take notes. The problem is that your notes are not designed for recalling the information. They're designed for storing the information, and it's of no use if you cannot recall it. So the system I'm about to show you fixes both problems. It forces your brain to process the information on a deeper level while you write, and it builds retrieval practice directly into the notes itself. And the system has 3 phases. First is the capture phase, then we have the processing phase, and we have the retrieve phase. Most students that I have worked with only do phase number 1, the capture phase, but the magic happens in phase number 2 and number 3, processing and retrieving. So let me walk you through each one. Phase number 1 is capture. This phase happens during the lecture. Here, you're going to use a modified Cornell Method layout. All you have to do is to take your page, it could be a paper or digital, doesn't really matter yet, and divide it into 3 sections. The right 2/3 of the page is your notes column. This is where you write down things during the lecture. The left 1/3 is your cue column. You can leave this blank during class, and at the bottom section is your summary box. Also leave this blank during class, so you only focus on the note-taking method. During the lecture, you write in the notes column only. But the crucial difference that I want you to make from normal note-taking is that you make sure that you're paraphrasing. Every time that the professor explains a concept, write it down in your own words. It can be shorter than what they said, maybe even more condensed or a bit rephrased, because this forces your brain to process the information at a deeper level, which is exactly what Craig and Lockhart's research showed helps in creating stronger memories. And this way you're not actually copying, instead you're translating, and translating requires you to understand the topic and again, convert it in your own words. Also, keep in mind a few other rules for the notes column. Make sure that you use bullet points instead of whole paragraphs. Make sure to leave space between ideas. You might need this space later. And if you don't understand something, mark it with a question mark or an asterisk, and don't let that confusion slow you down. Instead, just mark it and then move on and come back to it later. Phase number 2 is about the processing part. Here, I need you to transform your notes from a record of what happened into a study tool. And this is the step that 95% of students skip entirely. Within 24 hours of the lecture, ideally on the same evening, I want you to make sure you sit down with your notes for 10 to 50 minutes to actually process them. First, you're going to fill in the cue column of your Cornell notes. Go through your notes, and for every key concept, write a question in the left margin that your notes do answer. If your notes say that mitochondria is cell's power plant, the cue or the question you might have is, what is the mitochondria's function? So you convert your notes into questions. This basically means that you're essentially creating a quiz for yourself. Your notes on the right are already the answers, and your cues on the left are going to be questions. And this way you build a flashcard or a testing system directly into your notebook. Secondly, I want you to fill out the summary box. At the bottom of each page, write a 2, 3, 4 sentence summary of the entire page content. Again, in your own words and as much as possible from whatever you remember. So don't go through your notes part very extensively and then write the summary, because you will just retrieve from short term. But do your best to really recall as much as possible. Do not look at your notes while you write the summary. You can maybe cover the notes part with your hand or with a book or another blank page if you want to recall the main ideas and want to really write them down from memory as much as possible. Now, this is your first act of the retrieval practice. Research shows that this single act of trying to recall information, even just once, helps your brain dramatically with retaining what you studied than rereading the same material multiple times would. So just start doing this. So what you have done in just 10-15 minutes is that you've created a self-quiz for every lecture, and you've done your first retrieval practice already. You've already started studying, and you did not even call it studying. It was just, wrapping up your notes. Phase number 3 is about retrieval, and this is your review system, and it's built directly again into the notes that you've already created. So every time that you sit down with your notes, whether it's the next day, the next week, the night before the exam, you're going to do the same thing. Step number 1 is that you need to cover the notes column with a sheet of paper or fold the page. So you can only see the cue column, which are the questions. Step number 2 is that you try to answer each question from memory. You can answer out loud or in writing. Both work, but speaking out loud is usually a bit faster. Step number 3, you then uncover the notes and check yourself. If you got it right, move on. If you got it wrong or you couldn't remember it, you mark that question with a small dot or a star. Step number 4, whenever you review the notes next time, focus on the questions that you marked. The ones you already know don't need more time because you already know them. But the ones that you missed, they need more practice. And this is also implementing spaced repetition directly into your notes. You don't need to be rereading anything. You're just testing yourself. And every time that you test yourself, the memory gets stronger. The beauty of this system is that by the time exam week arrives, you've already revised and recalled every concept multiple times. And that's why studying before that exam almost becomes unnecessary. And now I'm not saying don't study anymore before the exam, but a lot of it has already been taken care of. And the work was done along the way in 10 to 15 minute sessions that didn't feel like studying at all. Now, here's the schedule that I would recommend. Your first review session, revise the same day as the lecture. This is when you do the phase 2, which is filling in the cues and writing the summary. This takes 10-15 minutes max. Your second review session is revise maybe 3 or 4 days later. Cover your notes, recall what you remember, and then check whatever you missed. Again, focus on what you missed out, and this again takes 5 to 10 minutes. Your third review session is revising in 1 week with the same process. By now, you will find you remember most of it, so it could take as little as 5 minutes. Then your fourth review session is revise just before the exam. This is your final pass, and it should feel like confirmation that you remember whatever you've studied already. This is spaced repetition in its simplest form. No apps needed, no complex schedule. Just go through consistent, short revision built into the notes that you already have. So let me show you what it looks like in practice with 2 different subjects so you can see it's not just a theory. Here's a biology lecture on cell division, and on the right I've got my paraphrase notes, not a word for word writing of what the professor taught, but the key ideas in my own words. And on the left I've turned each concept into a question. What are the 4 phases of mitosis? What happens during a metaphase? Or how do checkpoints regulate cell division? And at the bottom, my 2-sentence summary is written from memory. Now, here's a history lecture on the causes of World War I. And this is the same structure with notes on the right. The key causes, the connections, and arguments in my own language. And there are questions on the left. What were the 4 main causes of World War I? How did the alliance system contribute to escalation? And the summary at the bottom again. Notice what both examples have in common. First, the notes are selective and not everything that the professor said, and it just has the concepts that actually matter. The cues are question formatted without keywords, and there are actual questions you could see on an exam. And the summaries are written from memory. These force your brain to retrieve information even while you're processing the information. This works for any subject: STEM, social sciences, law, engineering. The format is universal because brains mostly work the same way across different subjects. Okay, so now the question that you might be having about is whether to do this on paper or digitally. And let me give you the honest, research-backed answer, because this debate has more nuance than most people realize. In 2014, Muller and Oppenheimer published a study at Princeton and UCLA called "The Pen is Mightier Than the Keyboard." They found that students who took notes on laptops were more likely to take notes of what the professor said word for word, which led to them not properly processing what they were taught. Students who wrote by hand were forced to paraphrase because you can't write as fast as someone is speaking. And that led to them process the information more deeply, which led to a better performance on conceptual questions. However, and this is important, a 2019 replication study by Moorhead, Dunlosky, and Rawson found that the difference between handwriting and typing was smaller and less consistent than the original study suggested. The advantage of handwriting was real, but modest, and when students had a chance to review their notes before a test, the difference were relatively small. So what I have honestly seen from my experience is that the method matters more than the medium. So if you use this system with paraphrasing, cue questions, and retrieval practice, it works whether you write on paper or you type it in an app or a document. And the reason handwriting has an edge in the research is that it naturally forces your brain to paraphrase the information again because of the speed. That being said, paper helps with slower, more deliberate writing and helps remove distractions, have better spatial memory since you tend to remember where on the page you wrote something. The downside is that it is harder to search for something, organizing your notes and share them with others. Digital notes are much easier to search, organize, and integrate with apps and are accessible everywhere, but you might end up just noting down whatever is being said without putting your thoughts into it, and notifications and distractions are there if you don't disable them. So my recommendation is that if you have the self-discipline, then take notes digitally since it's much easier to organize. But if you find yourself not putting much thought into it or getting distracted, then switch to paper. It helps with properly processing the information in your brain, and again, it's good. Now, if you go digital, here are the tools that work best with this system. Number one is by far Notion. This is my top pick for the full framework. You can create a template with the 3-column layouts, note, cues, and summary, and you can duplicate it for every lecture. You can also hide your answers, which makes things very easy, and you can also use this for spaced repetition. Number two would be OneNote. This is great for handwritten digital notes if you have a tablet and a stylus. You get the benefit of handwriting with the ability to organize things digitally. Number three is Obsidian. This is best for students who want to connect ideas across lectures. Your notes on cell biology can link to your notes on genetics, and you start seeing the connections. Number four would be Anki. This is not a note-taking app, but still powerful. After you create your Q questions in phase 2, you can export them into Anki as flashcards and let the algorithm schedule your revision sessions automatically. You don't need all of these at the same time. You can pick one that fits your workflow and commit to it for a full semester. And then again, the system is what matters the most. Now, before I let you go, here are the 3 mistakes that will kill the system if you are not careful about this. Mistake number 1 is, again, copying word for word instead of paraphrasing. If you're writing down every word the professor says, you won't be processing any of that information. So I want you to slow down. It's okay if you write less. Try understanding more. Mistake number 2 is skipping the phase number 2. The Q questions and the summary are what help in turning your notes into a study tool. Without them, you just have a better looking version of your notes that everyone else has. And these 10 minutes will save you multiple hours later on. Mistake number 3 is that you are rereading your notes instead of actually retrieving the information. So when you revise, do not just read through your notes. I want you to make sure that you quiz yourself, okay? The discomfort of trying to remember is how it eventually gets cemented in your memory. And if it feels easy, it might not be working. So watch out when it feels easy. The system works because it's built on how your brain actually learns and not how you think it learns. And it's all built into the notes that you're already taking. Now, if you want to learn more about the study techniques that top students actually use, then check out this next video and hit like if this was helpful. Subscribe for more research-backed study strategies. Drop a comment telling me what subject you're going to try this system on first, and I'll see you in the next video.